Italian and Japanese are two formally different and distant languages, started simply from the syntactic construction, where in Italian the verb is placed in the middle of the sentence with the subject-verb-object construction, while in Japanese it is placed at the end, subject-object-verb. But what if they are not so distant? Studying the two languages then, I found myself re-evaluating this concept. Despite their diversity, analyzing them more closely, they may have points in common. Regarding the origin and course of the Japanese language, one can say that there is a difference. The Italian language is quite clear and straightforward, whereas Japanese is not. There are many hypotheses regarding the origins of this language. The most quoted and reliable theories are three: the Uraltaic theory, the Korean theory, and the Mongolian theory. Archaeological research has highlighted the relationship between the Korean culture of the Chomun period and the Japanese culture of the Jomon period. It was during the transition of the Chomun to the early Bronze Age that many elements of the Tungus culture found when the Tungus-speaking populations migrated to Japan spread. Thus, one can see the close links between the Tungusa culture and the two areas in prehistoric and protohistoric times, with a distinctly Altaic matrix. It is for the reason that the Uraltaic theory is considered the most reliable. The history of Italian origins does not present any complexity. Like most European languages, it is attached to and traceable to the language group called Indo-European, derived from a single language. Although Italian and Japanese are different languages, it is possible to identify commonalities. The first similarity concerns the language of courtesy. In the Italian language, the two second-person singular pronouns, the you or the she, are used when addressing an interlocutor. The tu is generally used in a situation of personal acquaintance. In formal registers, indirect form of expression, considered more polite, are used. In the Japanese language, the level of politeness indicates the status of the interlocutor and the relationship between the speakers. Many linguists state that for a Japanese speaker, the status of the interlocutor is important, as it allows for better communication that would not otherwise be the case. The Japanese level of politeness has strict grammatical rules, especially the system of honorifics, the keigo. Both in Italian and Japanese, there is a gender language. Until a few decades ago, there was strong discrimination between the male and the female sexes in every respect. Following several congresses, the female sex succeeded in having equal opportunity rules enshrined. Today, the use of professional and institutional role terms of the male gender remains even when referring to women, which allows a disappearance of the female figure in a communicative exchange. In both languages, there are a difference between oral and written text. An oral text is personal and is prepared at a specific time, in a specific place, and for a specific interlocutor. A written text is impersonal, adapted to each situation and each person. There is so much information that cannot be conveyed through writing. Spoken language is direct, spontaneous, while written production is planned. For this reason, we are faced with both a construction of syntax and the use of different terms for speech and writing. After identifying what, in my opinion, may be commonalities between the Japanese and Italian languages, I decided to emphasize the differences between the two by considering a cultural point of view, untranslatable words. More than 6,000 different languages are spoken in the world, and with each one of them it is possible to describe the breadth and depth of the human life. Considering that each language offers a different perspective to interpret the world, it's normal to come across unique words that do not exist in any other language. These linguistic gems can be explained but cannot be directly translated. Untranslatable words highlight the differences within human nature. To be more specific, in Japanese there is the term hanami, whose translation literally means watching the flowers, which refers to the traditional Japanese custom of enjoying the beauty of the spring blossoming of trees, in particular that one of the cherry trees, whose flowers are called sakura. This is because the spectacle of the blossoming Japan represents a deeply felt 1,000-year-old tradition that has led to the coining of an actual term to describe this action. When studying a language, one should never limit oneself to studying it from a grammatical point of view, but dig deeper and try to understand its roots and the mentality involved. A good example of these are the untranslatable words. Words that don't have an ambiguous expression in Italian or other languages. Due to the differences, especially cultural differences, entire phrases may be needed to be expressed, and sometimes one cannot even fully understand them. Italian is a much more direct, open, and sometimes sentimental language compared to Japanese, which is considered less direct and more impersonal, where the main focus in any situation is never to shock the interlocutor's sensitivity. In the light of what I have studied in order to write this paper, I have come to realize that every people has unique origins that can be passed on genetically, and that the basis of every relationship should be respect for both history and our Mother Earth.